Right, we were hoping to have somebody from the drugs trial come along and talk about their experiences from the trial, obviously. But unfortunately they couldn't come, so you might have to put up with me for 10 minutes just explaining my Alpelisib journey. I think it was back in around about 2018-19, I kind of noticed that my condition was getting really out of control and my legs were just growing crazily big, to the extent where physically I was finding it so hard to move around and do anything. And I've always been a very strong person mentally, but it was really starting to affect my mental health to the extent that it felt like someone was taking my independence away and I had no control of that and had no idea what the heck to do. So luckily, thanks to Rob Semple and an oncologist at the Christie's in Manchester, they applied for specialist funding from the NHS to allow me to try Alpelisib to see if it would work. So in January 2022, I started Alpelisib on 150 milligrams a day. And 8 weeks later, as you can see, I started off at 19 stone, 6 pound. 8 weeks later, I'd gone down to 18 stone, 8 pound. And it just like, it felt like a miracle drug, and I just thought, is this actually real? Is this happening? And at that particular time, I wasn't really living with any kind of side effects at all. And I just thought, oh, yes, this is fantastic. Let's keep going and see what happens. So about maybe a month and a half after this, I did start with some side effects. Every time I took the Alpelisib, I ended up with stomach cramps and a dry mouth. And also I noticed that my heart rate started to elevate. I also developed rashes, thankfully not on my face, that would have been a nightmare. But it was on my stomach, in my armpits, on my back, and the itchiness, oh my God, it used to drive me absolutely crazy. And also they noticed through blood tests that my blood sugar started to rise. But with Alpelisib working so well, I just thought, I've got to power on through this, you know, I want to keep going, and I want to see if I can continue to lose weight, basically, because so far so good. So after another 11 weeks, I'd gone from 18 stone 8 pounds down to 17 stone 10. And it just seemed like, you know, blimey, you know, this is really good. Where could it end up? So, and I also noticed that some of the side effects had started to improve. The dry mouth, stomach cramps had gone, my heart rate had gone back to normal. The itching and the rashes were still there, but I was prescribed steroid cream, which worked really, really well. And I got a cream called Urax over the counter, and that worked wonders with the itching, you know, because I'm not sat there at the cinema or having a meal and doing, you know, giving it all this, which was just like really embarrassing. So in that respect, it was going really, really well. Unfortunately, my blood sugar did start to rise to the extent where the doctors felt that the best thing to do was probably start metformin in the hope to kind of bring my blood sugar to a reasonable level. But it's also important to note that at this particular time, which was maybe around 3 months in, I'd started to notice that I had some gastro problems. And not to be too graphic, but I'd have like a week of constipation and then the next day just a complete evacuation. And this was, and this cycle just kept continuing. It's just like, okay, well, you know, maybe that's the price I have to pay to kind of keep losing weight on my legs. So I thought, fine, we'll give metformin a go and see what happens. This is what happened. So yes, the side effects of metformin, you know, diarrhea, and it was just like, seriously, a double whammy, you know. So I just thought, I can't kind of carry on with that. I need to find some kind of alternative to help bring my blood sugar down. And I remember having a conversation with Dr. Elitza Madsen, and she mentioned that she'd read some research papers about people who were on Alpelisib whose blood sugar had raised to try a keto diet. So I thought, well, me knowing me, right, let's give this thing a go, let's go 110% at it, and let's see if it works. So basically, keto diet is quite a simple thing. Might be quite boring, but it's not eating meat, fish, some leafy green vegetables, some fruit is okay, but things like rice, potatoes, some types of flour. So if you're making pancakes, it's like almond flour and coconut flour, which Sue's got very good at making, haven't you? And no bread, and that drives me absolutely nuts because I love toast. It's like I can't have toast anymore. But you know, if that's the price to pay to kind of continue on the Alpelisib and it can continue working, then I thought, let's try it and give it a go. So 8 months since starting the Alpelisib, started at 19 stone 6, and now down to 16 stone 13. My God, I'm going to be the lightest I've ever been, you know, it's just amazing. So yeah, the keto diet, like I say, was working. My three key elements to keep my blood sugar stable: lifting weights, which I've always done anyway, because obviously moving my little body around is not always easy, so you know, you've got to have the muscles to do it. And I do like a boxing routine probably 5 times a week, and keeping on the keto diet, everything was going fine. The rashes were going, all the side effects. In terms of the gastro issues, unfortunately, they were still there, but I just thought, I'm going to keep on going. You know, I need to, this is my life, my mobility, my independence. You know, I want to live my life, so let's kind of power on through it and see what happens. So, as you can see, 1 year, 5 months since starting the Alpelisib. Again, January 22, started at 19 stone 6. And by May this year, I was down to 15 stone 1. And yes, I was happy. You know, it was just an amazing feeling just to be able to move around. I mean, it's never going to be easy, but it was easier. And I felt like, not to be too like emotional or dramatic, but I felt I got my life back. You know, and that was such a big thing for me because, you know, I've always been a person who enjoys life, wants to do things with my life, and having that taken away from me and that control taken away from me, you know, it just scared the heck out of me. So, what's happened since May this year? Well, in July, started with, well, some very severe diarrhoea, to the extent that it just did not stop. I mean, I took anti-diarrhea medication, tried fasting, tried low residue diet, nothing worked at all. So I thought, it must be the Alpelisib. So I stopped the Alpelisib straight away, thinking, you know, it's got to get better. By the time I get to August, it had got even worse, to the extent where I couldn't even leave home. I didn't even know when I needed to go to the toilet, which, as you can imagine, you know, that was just horrendous. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I just thought to myself, well, Mandy, get your sensible head on. Is it actually Alpelisib that's doing this or have been doing this? Let's take a poo test. But none of us like to talk about poo. But I just thought, you know, you've got to do it. So I did the poo test. Thankfully, everything came back fine. So it was still the Alpelisib that was in my system. So now I'm kind of a case of, I have 3 options. Do I try Alpelisib again and risk the side effects? Do I stick to a keto diet and exercise only? Or do I try sirolimus again, which worked very well last time? So taking them one at a time, Alpelisib, no. It scares the heck out of me to try Alpelisib again, just in case these side effects start. I just can't bring myself to do it, and I kind of think it's my body's way of saying, look, Mandy, you know, it's worked well for you, but no thank you, we don't want any more of that. So could I try sirolimus again? I do want that as a backup plan, but I cannot find a doctor who can help prescribe that for me. I've tried different avenues, and as yet, it's just been a no-go. But me being me, very much like Lucy, I will keep on going until I find somebody who can actually do that. So basically, since July, I've been on a keto diet and exercise only. And Monday just gone, I went to be weighed. And I thought to myself, okay, best case scenario, you've put a couple of pounds on. Got on the scales 3 times, and just to make sure, and I'd actually lost weight. And I just thought, bloody hell, really? I thought, that can't be right. So just the fact that I've been able to kind of control my condition myself just by doing the keto diet and exercise. When I was speaking to Dr. Litza Madsen earlier, and she was saying it could be the placebo effect. Well, I say, bring on that placebo. I'm having a bit more of that. So at the moment, that's the only option I've got, and it seems to be working. So, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So really, the story is to be continued.